Introduction. Nestled at the edge of a forgotten town, with an eerie glow emanating from its flickering sign, stood the rusted Revan Inn. Tales of its unsettling ambience and spine-chilling history had circulated among locals for generations, making it a hotbed for those seeking a thrill. Intrigued by the macabre allure, I decided to spend a night at this infamous establishment, unaware that the shadows within had their own stories to tell. Chapter 1. The creaking floorboards. Upon entering the lobby, the air felt dense, as though it held the secrets of the bygone era. The receptionist, a frail woman with hollow eyes, handed me a tarnished key and whispered, "Room 13, where the past never sleeps." Ignoring her ominous words, I ascended the creaking staircase to my room. Inside, the walls seemed to whisper, their faded wallpaper telling tales of a time when laughter and music filled the halls. The floorboards groaned underfoot, their sounds echoing the footsteps of a mysterious woman from the 1920s, who, as legend had it, still roamed the halls in search of something elusive. Her laughter, a haunting melody that lingered in the corners of the room, became more pronounced as the night deepened. The vintage furniture, adorned with traces of a bygone era, seemed to hold the memories of guests long departed. Unable to resist the allure of the mysteries that surrounded me, I ventured into the corridors, where flickering sconces cast dancing shadows on the walls. The temperature dropped, and the air was thick with unseen energy. The whispers grew louder, the ethereal voices sharing tales of love and betrayal, echoing through time. Each creak of the floor beneath my feet felt like a step further into a realm where the past intertwined with the present. Chapter 2. The Phantom Pianist. The inn boasted an antique piano, tucked away in a dimly lit corner of the lounge. The legend spoke of a pianist who had met a tragic end while performing a haunting melody on a stormy night. Intrigued, I sat by the piano, its once polished keys now faded with age. As I hesitantly touched the keys, the room seemed to hold its breath. To my astonishment, the piano responded, its keys moving with an otherworldly grace. A phantom pianist, unseen yet deeply felt, played a melancholic melody that echoed through the inn. Shadows swayed to the rhythm, and a surreal symphony unfolded, painting a picture of the pianist's final performance. The music spoke of love lost, of storms that mirrored the turbulence of the pianist's soul. The room pulsated with an energy that transcended the boundary between the living and the spectral. As the phantom pianist's ethereal performance reached its crescendo, I found myself caught in a surreal dance with the shadows. The line between reality and the supernatural blurred, and for a fleeting moment, it felt as if the past had reached out to the present, inviting me to partake in a tale woven by unseen hands. Chapter 3. The Vanishing Maid. In the early hours, a soft knock echoed through the hallway, and I opened the door to find an elderly maid dressed in outdated attire. Her faded apron and worn-out shoes hinted at a time long past. She mumbled about forgotten linen and disappeared into thin air, leaving behind a chilling draught. A local historian later revealed that the inn's original maid had vanished without a trace decades ago, and her spirit still roamed in search of her unfinished tasks. Driven by the need to unravel the mysteries that enveloped the rusted Revan Inn, I delved into the history of the vanished maid. Her name, whispered by the wind, was Isabella, and she had been deeply in love with a guest who had checked into the inn many years ago. Their love, forbidden by societal norms, had ended in heartbreak, with the guest leaving abruptly, promising to return, but never keeping his word. Isabella's spectral presence, it seemed, was eternally tied to the love that had eluded her in life. As I explored the deserted halls, I could almost feel her lingering sorrow in the air. The tales of love and loss, now entwined with my own experiences, added layers to the haunted history of the rusted Revan Inn. Chapter 4. The Mysterious Portrait. During a stroll through the deserted halls, I stumbled upon a dusty, age-worn portrait of a man with piercing eyes. The receptionist, upon inquiry, shared the tale of the inn's original owner, Victor Lancaster, who had succumbed to madness, locking himself in the attic. Locals believed that his spirit lingered, tormented by the guilt of dark deeds committed within the inn's walls. Victor Lancaster's portrait seemed to follow me with its gaze, as I stared into those haunted eyes. I felt a connection with the tormented soul trapped within the frame. The air grew heavier, and the walls seemed to absorb the weight of the past. The tale of Victor's descent into madness unfolded like a tragic play, with each stroke of the artist's brush capturing the essence of a man consumed by his own demons. As I continued my exploration, I discovered the entrance to the attic, sealed with a heavy rusted lock. The receptionist's warnings echoed in my mind, but the allure of uncovering the inn's darkest secrets proved irresistible. The key I had received at the lobby felt unusually warm in my hand as I inserted it into the lock, and with a slow, ominous creak, the door swung open. Conclusion. As dawn approached, I left the rusted Revan Inn, my nerves still tingling with the residual energy of the night. The stories and encounters left an indelible mark on my memory, blurring the line between folklore and reality. The creepy hotel true horror stories were not just tales but echoes of the past, whispering through the corridors of forgotten inns, forever etched in the haunted history of the rusted Revan Inn. The town slowly stirred to life as the first rays of sunlight broke through the horizon, but the rusted Raven Inn remained a silent sentinel of its mysterious past. The flickering sign cast long shadows on the deserted streets, and the distant whispers seemed to linger in the cool morning breeze. The forgotten inn had shared its secrets, but the true nature of its whispers remained a mystery, waiting for the next curious soul to unlock the spectral tales hidden within its walls. As I walked away, the memories of the night replayed in my mind like a haunting melody. The laughter of the 1920s woman, the phantom pianist's ethereal tunes, Isabella's ghostly presence, and Victor Lancaster's tormented portrait. Each fragment of the rusted Revan Inn's history had left an indelible mark on my soul. The sun bathed the town in warm hues, and the rusted Revan Inn, with its flickering sign now fading in the morning light, stood as a silent witness to the tales that unfolded within its walls. The echoes of the past resonated in my thoughts, a reminder that some stories were meant to be experienced, not just heard. As I looked back one last time, the door creaked shut on the haunted history of the rusted Revan Inn, leaving the mysteries of the night to slumber in the shadows until the next curious soul dared to uncover them. The Grand Manor Inn, an imposing structure in the heart of a forgotten town, stood as a silent witness to the passage of time. Its facade, once resplendent, was now adorned with ivy clinging to the aging bricks. The lobby, steeped in the scent of aged wood and the mustiness of a bygone era, greeted me with a sense of nostalgia that was both eerie and intriguing. The receptionist, a middle-aged woman with eyes that seemed to have absorbed the weight of countless stories, handed me a brass key adorned with an intricate key fob. "Room 237, she murmured, the corners of her forced smile barely masking a deeper unease that seemed to emanate from the very walls of the inn. As I ventured down the narrow corridor, the creaking floorboards beneath my feet seemed to murmur secrets of the inn's past. The dim lighting cast long shadows that danced along the peeling floral wallpaper. Room 237's door groaned open reluctantly, revealing a scene that felt like a snapshot frozen in time. Faded wallpaper clung to the walls, desperately holding onto the tales it had witnessed. The air, thick with the scent of mildew, carried with it the weight of forgotten memories. Suppressing the unease that gnawed at the edges of my consciousness, I settled in for the night, unaware that the whispers of the past would soon permeate the silence. As the night enveloped the inn in an otherworldly hush, I was abruptly awakened by a soft whisper that cut through the stillness, barely audible over the rustling leaves outside my window. "Get out." Startled, I sat up, scanning the room for the source of the voice. The suffocating silence that followed was broken only by the distant hum of traffic outside. Convinced it was a mere figment of my imagination, I dismissed the incident, attributing it to the shadows that seemed to play tricks on my mind. The following night, however, the whispers returned with an unsettling intensity. This time, they seemed to emanate from within the very walls of room 237. "Leave before it's too late," the voice urged, sending shivers down my spine. Determined to debunk the supernatural, I meticulously searched the room for hidden speakers or any rational explanation. Yet, my efforts proved futile in the face of inexplicable phenomena that defied logic. As the hours wore on, the whispers evolved into guttural moans, and shadows danced on the walls in bizarre, unnatural patterns. The room's temperature plummeted, and my breath hung in the air like spectral tendrils. Fear gripped me, and I stumbled out into the hallway, desperate for refuge from the relentless whispers that seemed to penetrate the very core of my being. In the lobby, the receptionist's gaze met mine with a mixture of sympathy and understanding. "You've heard them too, haven't you?" she asked, confirming my worst fears. The Grand Manor Inn, it turned out, was a repository of countless tales of restless spirits and unexplained occurrences. Room 237, in particular, was notorious for driving guests to the brink of madness. The stories spoke of a tragic past involving forbidden love and a mysterious death, echoing through the hallways like lingering echoes of sorrow. Haunted or not, the inn harbored an undeniable sense of history, with each creaking floorboard and flickering light telling a tale of its own. As I left, the feeling lingered that the spirits within had a story to tell. And room 237 was their haunted stage. The whispers etched into my memory, a chilling reminder that some mysteries are best left undisturbed, echoing through the corridors long after I departed. In the aftermath, the town embraced the Grand Manor Inn's haunted allure, drawing thrill-seekers and paranormal enthusiasts from far and wide. The stories of Room 237 became a local legend, perpetuating the mystique surrounding the ancient inn. Yet, even with the influx of curious visitors, the air of mystery that enveloped the Grand Manor Inn remained untouched, as if the spirits themselves guarded their secrets. As the years passed, the tales of Room 237 continued to weave themselves into the fabric of the town's folklore. The inn, with its faded grandeur and silent corridors, stood as a testament to the thin veil between the living and the lingering spirits of the past. The townsfolk, though wary, held a peculiar pride in their haunted gem, recognizing that some secrets were meant to be guarded by the shadows that whispered through the hallways of the Grand Manor Inn. The ivy that clung to its weathered walls seemed to whisper tales of love and tragedy, ensuring that the stories of Room 237 would echo through the ages, haunting the memories of those who dared to venture into the realm of the supernatural. The Whispering Shadows Inn stood stoically at the edge of the town, a decaying relic that time had embraced with a bittersweet tenderness. Its once grand Victorian architecture, now etched with the scars of neglect, bore witness to the passing of countless decades. The neon sign, once vibrant, flickered eerily in the moonlit night, casting a ghastly glow on the peeling facade. Intrigued and slightly unnerved, I found myself inexorably drawn to this enigmatic establishment during a cross-country road trip. Little did I know that my stay in Room 13 would unravel a nightmarish encounter that would forever cling to the tapestry of my memories. Stepping into the lobby felt like crossing the threshold into a different era. The air hung heavy with the scent of must and aged wood, and the flickering light bulbs emitted a dim glow that seemed to dance with the shadows. The receptionist, a frail woman with a gaze that pierced through the veil of time, handed me the brass key to Room 13 with a gravely expression. Her lips parted to offer a foreboding warning. "Be careful in there, dear. Room 13 has seen things that can't be unseen." As I ascended the creaking staircase to the upper floor, a feeling of unease settled in the pit of my stomach. The corridor leading to Room 13 seemed to stretch endlessly, dim lights casting eerie shadows on the faded wallpaper. When I finally reached the door, it swung open with a reluctant groan, revealing a room that appeared frozen in a forgotten moment. The furniture, though antique and dignified, bore the indelible marks of time and countless guests. Each piece whispered tales of laughter, love, and heartache, creating a symphony of emotions that lingered in the air. The room itself seemed to hold the weight of its own history. The wallpaper, once vibrant, now peeling away to unveil snippets of the bygone era. The bed, with its threadbare sheets, felt like a relic from a different century. As night fell, the temperature within Room 13 plummeted, and an unshakable chill permeated the air. I tossed and turned beneath the layers of faded grandeur, attempting to dismiss the unsettling atmosphere that enveloped me. It was then that I heard it, a soft, otherworldly whisper that seemed to emanate from the very walls themselves. The whispers told tales of tragic love, of a heartbroken woman who sought refuge in room 13 after her lover met a grisly end. Her spirit, it was said, still wandered the halls, searching for solace that eluded her in life. The temperature dropped further, and a spectral figure materialized at the foot of the bed. A woman in a tattered Victorian gown, her eyes filled with sorrow. Paralyzed by fear, I watched as the apparition moved towards me, her voice a haunting melody recounting her tale of woe. The room resonated with the anguish of lost love, and I could feel the weight of her sorrow pressing down on me. My attempts to flee were futile, as an invisible force held me captive in that accursed room. As dawn approached, the ghostly figure dissipated, leaving me shaken and bewildered. The morning sun revealed room 13 in all its decrepit glory, the air heavy with the residue of the spectral encounter. I hurriedly packed my belongings, desperate to escape the clutches of the Whispering Shadows Inn. The tale of room 13 of the Whispering Shadows Inn is but one chapter in the chilling anthology of forgotten hotels. These places, filled with echoes of the past, serve as reminders that sometimes the most haunting experiences are not found in fiction, but hidden within the walls of reality. In the end, as I drove away from that decaying relic, the memory of room 13 lingered in the rearview mirror like a ghostly apparition. The Whispering Shadows Inn, with its secrets and spirits, became a haunting tale I carried with me, a nightmarish encounter etched into the fabric of my journey. The road ahead stretched into the unknown, but the echoes of room 13 would forever resonate in the corridors of my mind, a chilling reminder of the thin veil between the seen and the unseen. The tale of the Whispering Shadows Inn became a spectral thread woven into the tapestry of my memories, leaving me forever changed by the nightmarish encounter at the edge of town. The Whispering Pines Inn, a dilapidated relic of bygone eras, exuded an air thick with the musty scent of time. Its lobby, bathed in flickering fluorescent lights, cast eerie shadows on the worn-out carpet, setting the stage for the nightmarish encounter that would unfold within its walls. The neon sign outside beckoned like a lighthouse, drawing me in during a solo road trip that aimed to uncover the secrets of quaint towns scattered across the countryside. Choosing to stay at the inn was a whim, fueled by convenience and the allure of its rich history, as promised by a quick online search. Little did I know that the innocuous room 333, marked by an old-fashioned key with a brass tag, would become the epicenter of a chilling tale etched into my memory forever. Upon check-in, the receptionist, with weary eyes and a knowing smile, handed me the key to room 333. The brass tag gleamed under the dim lights, its engraved number resonating with an ominous undertone. Despite the superstitions that briefly danced through my mind, I chuckled, attributing the unease to mere coincidence. The faded wallpaper in the room seemed to peel back the layers of time, exposing the history that clung to every inch of the space. The air, heavy with the weight of forgotten stories, whispered through the peeling wallpaper. Unfazed, I unpacked my bags, pushing aside the nagging sense of unease, and decided to explore the town, hoping the quaint charm would overshadow the aging inn's ominous vibes. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the town's cobblestone streets as I returned to the Whispering Pines Inn. The lobby, now bathed in an eerie half-light, seemed more foreboding than before. The creaking floorboards echoed through the empty hallways, amplifying the unsettling silence that enveloped the inn. My unease deepened, and the charming quaintness transformed into an unsettling aura. Yet curiosity propelled me forward, and I entered room 333 with a mix of trepidation and anticipation. The musty odor that greeted me seemed to cling to the air like a ghostly presence, and the flickering bedside lamp cast distorted shadows that danced along the walls. The discomfort was palpable, but I dismissed it as the natural consequence of a room that had weathered the storms of time. As I lay in bed, the whispers began, an eerie symphony of soft, unintelligible voices that seemed to emanate from the very walls of room 333. Initially, I dismissed them as the creaks and groans of an old building settling into the night. However, the voices persisted, growing louder and more insistent with each passing moment. I strained to decipher their cryptic messages, but they remained elusive. Suddenly, the temperature in the room plummeted, a bone-chilling cold seeping through every crack and crevice. I shivered beneath the covers as an unseen force pressed down on me, its weight intensifying with each passing second. Panic set in as I struggled to breathe, the whispers coalescing into anguished cries that echoed through the room. In a desperate bid to escape the inexplicable horrors, I fumbled for the doorknob, only to find it frozen in place. The walls seemed to close in as the cries reached a deafening crescendo, trapping me in a nightmarish abyss. The room itself became a living entity, a malevolent force that defied explanation. Paralyzed, I could only bear witness to the surreal horror unfolding around me. Just as suddenly as it began, the oppressive force lifted. The room, now seemingly benign, returned to its normal temperature, and the whispers faded into the echoes of the night. Exhausted and bewildered, I stumbled out of room 333, leaving the accursed space behind. The corridor, once silent, now seemed to echo with the residual whispers of the haunted room. As I checked out the next morning, the receptionist met my gaze with an understanding nod. "Room 333 has a history," she murmured cryptically, her eyes betraying knowledge beyond the visible. "Not everyone makes it through the night." Her words hung in the air like a lingering ghost, leaving me with an unsettling realization that I had glimpsed into a realm beyond the mundane. Leaving the Whispering Pines Inn with a newfound respect for the stories that linger within seemingly ordinary places, room 333 became a chapter in my life that I could never erase. It was an indelible reminder that some hotel stories are best left untold, hidden within the faded wallpaper and the flickering lights of a bygone era. The haunted whispers of that night echoed in my mind as I drove away, a lingering enigma that left me haunted by the mysteries of the Whispering Pines Inn.